morning. Good morning. Welcome to the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, and awaken the consciousness. And I am Loretta Brown, and I have the amazing Benny Mathers with me. How are you, Benny?
I'm doing very well. I'm in my moment, my essence. Only I'm jealous because you started out that way when we brought on the camera shot. I'm like, oh, she's doing it with her eyes closed today. It's gonna be it's gonna be that kind of a show.
I wonder if I could just sleep my way through it or something.
No. I mean, you could, but I'll have to explain a lot of dead air issues with the boss, and I'm sure they're not gonna be too happy with that.
Yeah, really. So here we are. We're almost at the end of July. I guess we got a week left. So you're doing good. July's treating you okay?
Yeah, so far so good. We did a little camping trip last weekend. It's our annual trip with the fam, and we go to it's kind of like west of Olympia over to Shelton Matlock area. There's some
nice
property
area
of friends of ours that have, and they allow us to kind of like, hey, whenever you're around, just go and plop yourselves down, throw some tents out, and put it back where you found it. So it's kind of nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I actually had one of my clients tell me yesterday that she had gone camping and she had never slept on the ground in a tent. She had
like ever?
ever.
Huh.
I was like, what? I guess there are people that have never slept. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like originally from like the city or something like that, you never really get a chance to go out experience the rural areas.
Rural area.
Right. I mean, I'm from Alaska. It was almost like the backyard was always there for us, and the forest and all that. And so I feel like it wasn't something we didn't not do. But all right.
Yeah, we did it. We did it all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And I love camping. I love getting out. I always encourage people, make sure you get outside and get in nature. I think it's really fun.
Yeah, she deserves to see you.
Yes, she does.
She does. I'm serious.
Yes, she does.
She's probably like, hey, who are those people? Bring him a hug.
Love how you talk about that. That's great.
Right?
Yeah. When I take my walk later this morning, I'm going to say, well, here I am. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm going to try that. Anyway, So, be sure to get out. We've got beautiful weather right now. And, I just kind of feel like the energies are wanting us to be nice to each other. Yeah, let's do it.
What was that? What was that supposed to mean? Just in general?
In general. Because I'll talk about it in a minute. But we got all these retrograde planets. And I'm like, I think it's time for us to do nice things. Don't get all fouled up because the planets are rolling backwards.
Me and retrogrades, not a fan.
I know.
But I'll let you explain.
Okay. We'll try to put I'll put magic bubble around you. Just
let's do that.
You'll be just fine. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, you're welcome. And to everybody listening too, just a little word. I am Loretta Brown. I'm the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area. You can find out more about me at ReikiOasis.com. And we had a wonderful class on Saturday. I have a monthly class for women called the Temple of the Divine Feminine. We did a great big huge celebration of the Feast of Mary Magdalene. And it's a very empowering class to come together as a bunch of women in a circle, talk about sacred things. We always do some kind of a ceremony and put out good energy and good vibes to the whole world. And I do it every month. So if you want to come, you can go to ReikiOasis.com, sign up for August. Astrologically, here we are, July. Neptune, Saturn, Mercury, all retrograde. Chiron's going retrograde this next week. And so it's bringing a slowdown to the cosmic skies. We're invited to look over the past and reconsider before we can move forward. So sometimes we have to clean house before we can move forward, and that's going on personally and globally. With Mercury in retrograde in particular, we may also feel mentally scattered and receive mixed messages from those around us. And I've also noticed traffic is like crazy, and I don't know, every place I've gone lately, I feel like everybody's coming at me or the cars are coming at me. So be careful out there.
Well, you got to be on the right side of the road, Loretta.
Yeah.
Let's just start there. Okay. We're not we're not in England.
I know.
I think you got a other side or
how did you know?
it was
You
just a
figured
guess.
that out.
Just a guess.
Yeah, you know, yeah. And Uranus also moved into Gemini this month on the 7th, and this is one of the key cosmic shifts that 2025 brings. And while we may not realize the full potential of this ingress just yet, it will start planting seeds for bigger shifts and changes that are destined to unfold over the next few years. And a couple of days ago, we had Mars conjunct the South Node in Virgo. I talked more about that on my radio show last week, but it could trigger events from the Virgo blood moon eclipse, which we experienced back in March. Remember that these eclipses come in threes. So we have another one coming, I think it's September, and another one next year. And so they're just kind of take a look at what is happening from that time. You can go back and look in your life, what was going on in March, what's going on now that feels like a theme that is revisiting, because we're not done with that yet. We're going to keep working through it. On Tuesday, we also had the sun move into the fire sign of Leo. So happy birthday to all my Leos out there, bringing an end to watery Cancer season. And with the sun in Leo, we may be feeling more playful, more excited, more wanting to go do things, like I was saying, maybe some fun times with people. Leo season is our time to shine bright and feel confident at who we are and where we are going. But be a little careful, because with all these planets backwards and Mars up there running around, there's fire in the sky. People are a bit volatile. There's an unexpected energy in the air. Today, July 24th, woohoo, a Leo new moon. It's a bright new moon that we can use to channel energy in the direction of our choosing. Pluto, Lord of the underworld, the planet of transformation, is very active under this new moon, indicating that it may bring some changes or shifts. And when Pluto and the moon get together, we also tend to feel hidden and unexpressed emotions rising to the surface to be looked at. Pluto's presence can also bring up power struggles or highlight where we're feeling displaced or taken advantage of in our lives. Pay attention to what the universe brings up for you. Chances are something will have to shift. And yeah, if you're feeling kind of impatient, if you're fed up, if you're restless, you're on the right planet. This is what's going on, right? It's all happening. And so in the energy of the Leo new moon, right, under this beautiful energy, I am going to bring on my guest, Cate Montana. Cate Montana has been on my show before. She is amazing. She's a very powerful woman. She's a trailblazing journalist, an author, and a speaker whose work bridges alternative medicine, consciousness, and spiritual liberation. After a transformative awakening in 2007, she shifted from mainstream media to explore humanity's untapped potential, earning a master's in humanistic psychology. Her 5 diverse books include the feminist memoir, Unearthing Venus, in 2013, the spiritual novel, Apollo and Me, in 2018, and Cracking the Matrix 2023, which exposes interdimensional influences on global control. Her latest book is what we're going to talk about. It's called Gender, Patriarchy, and Sexual Mind Control, Breaking Free. And it unveils how sexual programming distorts our divine nature, advocating for a return to energetic fluidity and sacred union. Living on Maui, aloha, Cate speaks passionately on embodying our spiritual essence to counter shadow forces, inspiring sacred activism through self-knowledge. Welcome to the show, Cate.
Hey, good morning, Loretta.
Great, great. And I'm wondering where your camera is.
I'm wondering where my camera is too. I think Benny turned it off.
Well, I got it back for you.
Sorry. There we are. Hi, Cate. Nice to see you this morning, honey. Yeah, Cate got up early this morning, so we're giving her all the love that we can, and just to be on this show. And Cate, I would love to know, I'm just going to ask a question. Yeah. What brought about the writing of this latest book? Because this is a very, I'm just going to say to the audience ahead of time, it's a intense subject, and it's a subject that a lot of people avoid. So, what brought about gender, patriarchy, and sexual mind control?
Oh my God, does everything go back to 2020 and COVID? Um,
Maybe,
you know
maybe.
that's when my spirituality of positivity bubble burst was with COVID, and I looked around after 40 years of meditation and trying to get out of my body to God, and went, Jiminy Christmas, what am I missing? There's something really deeply wrong here on this planet, and that's when I started researching what I think we have now erroneously labeled evil on this planet, and I came up with this research that exposed this, been here forever, non-human interdimensional source of interference on this planet. Of course, Christianity calls it, demons and the devil, and Native Americans call these beings Wetiko, Wendigo. The Hawaiian Kahunas called them the Epa. The Greeks called them the archons, malevolent whisperers that guide us in the wrong, that push us in the wrong direction, that ultimately, because they're non-physical, I'm going to make this real short intro on the archons, basically want what we've got, life. These beings are parasitic. They feed on life force and especially emotional energy. And
Mm.
we're great emotional energy generators. So if we really look at history of humanity for the last 5, 6,000 years, it's the history of triggers. It's the history of how can I poke you into going and poking that person over there? How can how can we foment this genocide or this? Da, da, da. So it's about conflict. The more we're at one another, the more these beings have a food supply. This is very similar to The Matrix, that 1999 movie that shocked the world. And I think the reason The Matrix shocked the world and hit such a nerve was because I think most people, on some subconscious level for decades, have been going, something doesn't feel right. Something doesn't feel right here.
Mm.
So after backing up to COVID in 2020, here I am now. You just asked me the question. So what triggered me to write this book about sexual mind control? As I've delved deeper into the topic of interdimensional interference, negative energy, hey, let's just call it negative energies, pulling at us, sucking at us, trying to drag our light down to its level.
Mm. Mhm.
And so after I
Mhm.
got through after I got through reading my book, no, after I got through writing Breaking the Matrix, it was like, well, what's next? And I found myself writing a whole series of articles on my Substack column on sexuality, and how this most fundamental, it doesn't get more fundamental than our root chakra and the species prompt to procreate and survive. I mean, it's there's nothing more basic and foundational to our being aside from consciousness and the fact that we're actually spirits. And so I was like, oh hell, sexual manipulation, how far back does this go? And the more
Mhm.
I looked at, well, if my end goal is to create problems, trouble in paradise, conflict between people, how much more fundamental that can I get than pitting man and woman against one another?
Mm. Mhm.
How far back does the battle of the sexes go? And and it's just it's such so automatic. We all go, well, yeah, the battle of the sexes, of course. And it's just like, yeah, really, of course. Yeah, or have we been manipulated into this mindset that pits one sex against the other, that makes one set of sexual attributes yin and yang, that pits yin and yang against one another? And
Mm.
I was like, I looked into the natural world. How many, aside from the what is it, the spider that eats her mate after mating, aside from that, how many of other animals on this planet go at each other? No, they're attracted, they mate, they procreate, they love, they generate offspring. So that's what triggered the book, Loretta.
Wow. You're such a deep thinker, Cate, and I know you're a great researcher too. And I can also tell this ties into your own personal journey, right? Like there isn't any way not to be a great writer and not weave all of that together.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I started on the whole gender issue back in 2012 when I wrote Unearthing Venus, because I fundamentally in 1999 woke up to the realization that I wasn't a liberated woman, I was a programmed woman.
Yeah.
I had never
Yeah.
been liberated to be a woman. I'd been liberated to be a pseudo man. And it was a huge aha that was triggered by
Wow.
a conversation with a shaman from the Brazilian Amazonian rainforest. And that's a whole nother story. But that conversation about he talked about the equality of men and women in his tribe and how men and women fundamentally, yes, they had gender specific roles. The guys did the guy things. They, hunted and fished and built the canoes and the huts, and the women took care of the kids, did domestic food gathering. He said, but when the tribal elders came together, that it was absolute equality as far as the importance of men and women's voices at tribal council. And he said, but then he said, and this is what got me, Loretta, he said, but there's one job in the tribe that only women can do. And in my feminist stupor, I was like, yeah, 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 have babies. And he was like, well, yeah, that's important. He said, but that's not what I'm talking about. He said, we understand that it's man's nature to be more aggressive, more active, more impelled, more linear in his thought structures. He said, we'll fish until there's nothing left. We'll cut down trees until there's no trees standing. He said, now women, on the other hand, we understand, are clued into the vibe of the whole. They're intuitive and receptive. They respond and hold the family together. They understand the network of the larger community and the energetics of
Mm.
interaction and what health actually is. And they understand and are immersed in and receptive to the larger view of the ecosystem. He said, so the most important job of our tribe is the women tell the men when to stop.
Ooh.
And when he said
Ooh.
that, Loretta, I mean, this was
Oh.
6 years ago. And
Yeah.
I remember in the interview just going, just boing, and I realized I had never stopped. I was a driven, hair on fire, 1,000 miles an hour dude. I was thought like a dude. I pursued sex like a man, career, my linear thing. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when my personal journey about gender and how we've been manipulated to be something that we're not. And it's not, and I'm not saying that, oh God, this is such a deep conversation. I mean, it's so important that
Yeah. Yeah.
women have been the feminine has been so suppressed. Feminine energies of intuition and receptivity and vulnerability and communication and connectivity, all those things have been reduced to weakness
Mhm.
and unattractive attributes that you don't want. You want to be active, you want to be aggressive, you want to be linear, you want to be young. And so the diminishment of the yin, of course, women had to come out of that servitude, that lockdown. And so, yes, the feminine, this is so much, Loretta, about
Yeah.
why all of this is so sneaky is because there's truth and then there's the twist, there's the inversion of what's healthy. So, yes, it's healthy that women stepped into the masculine yang roles in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, still doing it. Absolutely. Yes, health. And the guys, in response, are becoming more soft and gentle and receptive. And, they're taking care of the kids and stuff. Beautiful, needed. But there's always a twist.
Yeah.
So it was that. So, yeah. Wow.
Well, this is a rich and deep and lots to talk about here, lots to unpack because when you said that, the feminine tells them when to stop. And I just was like, that actually says it all. The Iroquois used to have a council of women, I think it was the grandmothers, who would, they had to go to them if they were going to have a war, they would have to decide whether or not it was worth the sacrifice of life. And I thought, when you said that, I went, wow, what if we had like a council of grandmothers and grandfathers? We want them too, like we really do, but in their balance, in their authenticity, in their understanding of what that's all about, to really preside over what it is that's happening on planet Earth. We're very out of balance.
We're extremely
Yeah.
out of balance. And we're out of balance in yin yang energetics.
Yes. Yes. And even within each of us too, because I heard you very clearly, like you're driven, you're go, 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 go. Where's your feminine aspect that actually tells you to stop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
It was
Right.
gone. It was obliterated. It was buried under have tos in programming. So that, so the battle of the sexes, which starts with the diminishment of one against the other, then we've got the shadow side of the feminine. The subject, women are thought to, the labels, okay, the shadow labels, sneaky, manipulative, subversive. Well, if you're suppressed and in chains and basically chattel, what chance do you have to have any
Yeah.
control or power in your life whatsoever, except subversively?
Yeah.
And then, of course, the masculine out of balance is the aggression, the action principle. The action principle that makes things happen is turned to violence and aggression, and then power over. So it's those we've got those beautiful energetics to us naturally, and everybody has yin and yang characteristics. I mean, when you look at the planet like a mountain, some mountains are more yang. They're pointed, direct, ta-da. And then some mountains are more yin. They're round and kind of like guys, you might start out young as the Alps, but in your 20s, but by the time you're 80, you're much more Appalachian man. So there's this movement of fluidity.
You're still a mountain, honey. You're still a mountain. Don't
Well,
worry about it.
I was going to say I'm getting flatter, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
you're still pretty. Don't worry about it. It's still pretty.
So there's this beautiful fluidity of yin yang, masculine, feminine energetics. And if we vault, like straight right now to the whole trans movement and this incredible corruption of the perception of who we think we need to be.
Mhm.
And that, well, I'm binary fluid, whatever. What are there? Like 80 genders now?
I've lost. I.
You lost it
Yeah.
after the first 30, yeah. And it's like the young people are on it. It's like, yes, we've been locked in a box.
Yes.
Yes, the roles are ridiculous. But then they create more roles and more further compartmentalization and
Yeah.
further
Yeah.
compartmentalization, tinier boxes. I just read a Substack article by a guy by the name of Franklin Okanu, and he said, all this flood of information, he said, we're being tricked into believing that our view is being expanded while it's ever
Yeah.
known.
Oh, wow. That is absolutely, yes, that's spot on. Yes.
The you channel, your feed is for you, just for you, and you think, whoa, look at all this information, but no, your view is getting narrower. And that's what so much of this transgender identification project is accomplishing. We think we're freeing ourselves, and we're not. Back to the trickster energy, back to this negative parasitic influence that wants us to be smaller and smaller and smaller.
Wow. So this trickster energy, we'll call it trickster energy, this whatever we want to call it. So the battle of the sexes, I'm going to go all the way back to there.
Yeah.
And the influx of patriarchy.
Yeah.
There's so much. I know you have a lot to say about that. I do too. The idea, though, that the gender roles were confused, the yin and yang got all confused, and there's a lot of labeling in here.
Absolutely.
Lots of labeling, and that labeling creates those actually the prisons, the confinements. How do we get out of that labeling? How did we get into that labeling, and how do we get out of it? And I know that's a big question. Let's start with how we got in it, because I don't even know how to ask this question, because we have all kinds of things, like even if we go all the way back to Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden and this sin and all that kind of stuff. And then we follow through, and even the idea of celibacy, or the idea, man, I don't know where you want to jump in with that.
Wow, you just gave me about 12 entry
I
points.
did. I was like, wow. That's why I said I don't know how to ask this question.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think it's the demonization of the body.
Yeah.
I seriously think that that's where we went off the rails, is wherever this, well, and I know exactly where this came in, original sin. I don't know any more duplicitous, damaging belief system that's ever been perpetrated on humanity. And it came directly from this interdimensional influence, what the Greeks called the archons. Shoot, I may as well go there real quick. St. Augustine introduced the idea of original sin back in 235 AD into the Christian formula. But St. Augustine, he had a pagan dad and a Christian mom. He was very confused and tortured young man. He was a drunk and a sexual reprobate for the first 25, 30 years of his life. Until he stumbled into the religion called Manichaeism, which was started by Mani, the prophet of Babylon, back in 120 AD, something along those lines. Well, Mani's teaching was that the body is what corrupts, that we are these, beings that God created, but, we're made of clay and we're naturally sinful because we are of earth. And the body is corrupt and it leads us into sin, and we're pieces of poo until we get back to God and shed the dreadlocks of the body. So that was what Mani taught. St. Augustine picks this ball up, runs with it, and goes, I can see the kid's head explode. He's like, oh my God, oh, that's why I've been a drunk. That's why my mommy cries at night about me. My body made me do it. It wasn't my fault. So St. Augustine becomes Christian. He becomes a leader in the Christian church. He teaches original sin. And 2,000 years later, 1,800 years later, we've got billions of people filled with shame and guilt about the body. That the earth is the problem. The body is the problem.
Okay.
So body bad, God good. Down here bad, out there great. Which is the first get us out of our bodies. We're spirit beings of pure love. Spirit and mass are one thing. Einstein figured that out, equals MC squared. We've created a separation between spirit and body and earth, but it's a false creation. It's an illusion. So I got to cycle back. So the question is, 1,800 years of epigenetic guilt and shame later, where the heck did Mani, the prophet of Babylon, get the idea of original sin? He called it his other self. A voice used to speak to him at night. A disembodied voice spoke to him and taught him about the corruption of the flesh and the evil of the earth.
Oh my.
And he called it his other self. Mani did not ever know where that came from. He called it his other self that would talk to him at night. Hello. Interdimensional archonic influence. The devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other. We're talking.
Yeah.
So talk about influence. That's one example of how humanity has been programmed very specifically into shame, guilt, lower emotions, so that we hate ourselves and judge ourselves and separate ourselves from our home.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay,
so this separation from the earth and the diminishment of the physical, it's all about getting us into our heads. This is infinitely controllable and programmable. This never lies.
Yeah. So on that note, we're going to take a little station break, believe it or not, so Cate can catch her breath and tell us more. What you just said, though, because I was thinking about all the people with body dystopia and all these problems, and they're always talking about, yeah, wow. We do base our lives on what we believe.
Absolutely.
And I think we're in a time of maybe opening up some of those boxes and taking a look at how is that really working for us. So with all love and grace, and my guest today is Cate Montana, we're going to take a little station break. This is Loretta Brown. And don't go away, because we have lots more to talk about. We'll be right back.
Okay, all clear.
Do you have something important to say? Want to help improve our world? Need to promote your business uniquely and effectively? KKNW is the answer. Our staff helps broadcasters and podcasters create professional sounding audio. Bring your talent and let our experts help you craft a radio show or podcast that best delivers your message. Learn more at 1150kknw.com. That's 1150kknw.com. KKNW, variety talk radio that's live and local.
Energy is powerful. It's all around us, mysterious, full of potential. Directing positive, healing energy to raise your vibrational rate through Reiki can change your life. Reiki Master Loretta Brown has relieved stress, sadness, anger, and even helped clients lose weight, stop smoking, and end sleep disorders. Worldwide, people have sought out Reiki Oasis. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Ready to come back? All right, stand by.
Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my special guest today, Cate Montana. Just a reminder that these shows are archived. You can download them for free at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown Show. And of course, we're everywhere. We're on YouTube, X, Megaphone, Podcast One, Spotify, iTunes. I probably said something twice and I left something out, but you get the idea. Please go find the original Loretta Brown Show. And we're talking about Cate's latest book, Gender, Patriarchy, and Sexual Mind Control, Breaking Free. Before the break, you were discussing the judgment against the earth, this separation between our body and our spirit, our essence. And I'd like you to just jump right back in there, and especially talking about the yin-yang dynamics, right? Which and how that possibly can offer us a more harmonious or a different way of looking at the gender issue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we covered original sin and where that came from, and the perception that the body is a place of corruption, and the earth, of course, now is the sin hole. Is that you want to get out of here and back to God and the higher vibrations. So it's all about leaving the body. Why is that? Because we are one being. We are spirit, mental, emotional, physical, etheric beings. It's all one package. It's all one deal. As I said, Einstein figured it out. E equals MC squared. Mass and energy are the same thing. So we've got to perceptually then bifurcate us. Get us somehow against our we're unified beings. How do I split a unified being? Well, if I go back to duality, this whole creation is founded in duality. It's a binary system of positive and negative. Positrons and electrons were the very first things ever created at the Big Bang. Less than a second. Bam, we have polarity. Electromagnetic polarity is the foundation of mass. Okay, so we got oneness and we got two-ness. So that's the foundation. So bless the kids nowadays, they're fighting in a binary box that has perceptually been split. The oneness container, the body, the spirit, has been forgotten and has been deliberate. So going back to how all this started, it was original sin teaching from Maui, which is an archonic influence. The earth is the corrupt place. So if you look at the yin qualities, go back to the Eastern yin yang, the earth is dark. It's moist, darkness, blackness, a cave, contraction, descending below. Those are all yin energy qualities. Soft, gentle, yielding, nourishing, nature. Those are all yin qualities. Yang, on the other hand, is the sun. The yin is the moon, and the yang is white, and it's convex, and it's structure, and it's fixed, and it's distant, and it's intellect, and it's hard and unyielding, and it's out there, and it's generative, and it's fire, and it's intellect. So once you make the distinction and split, what everybody contains all of those energetic qualities. We're all part yin and part yang, and we're fluid and dynamic with these energies. But the moment you make one side of the equation bad and wrong, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got us where they want us.
Yeah.
And so this whole making the earth bad and wrong, everything dark. I mean, for God's sakes, the left-hand side is in Latin, sinister. The left side of the body is the feminine side. I mean, it just goes on. The demonization of the feminine and the earth is endless. Because the feminine aspect is what yields to open to greater knowledge, that yields and opens to receive information from the cosmos of our spiritual nature. If we can polarize humanity into the yang side of things, then we are structured, rigid, contained, and in our minds. And we are infinitely manipulatable, programmable, controllable. So that's the battle of the sexes. That's where it started. And that's the agenda.
Wow. Because, that is so deeply ingrained. Like I'm thinking, even you mentioned something earlier, I was thinking about the women's liberation movement, because we're of an age, you and I. And that, in my opinion, actually coerced women into accepting that pseudo masculine role as opposed to genuine feminine empowerment, right?
I didn't question for however many years it was, from 51 to 99, 48 years. I never once questioned that my equality wasn't based in me being like a guy.
Yeah.
I never once questioned it, Loretta.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so many women, went into the workforce, and the whole idea was trying to figure out how to compete in that world, made them present with their masculine side or become more masculine.
Absolutely. There was no choice.
Yeah.
And again, as I said earlier, this was also a much needed healing for women to move out of the shadows and the dark and the compression of being, labeled as just yin and dark and corrupt and of earth and untrustworthy, to move into the light, to move into the rest of their being. And so it was a healing moment, and then a potential twist moment. So I think we're coming to we are coming into the light. We're coming into the broader perspective, which is why we're having this conversation. And it's the undoing. It's time for the great undoing.
The great undoing. I love that. I'm also thinking when you're talking, because this also, there's been a dehumanization of men under the patriarchy too. Like you said, the women are becoming more yang and the men are becoming more yin, and maybe some of that has to happen or needed to happen. But men are as kind of floundering out there just like women are. Absolutely. Like I watch it all the time. Men are like, I don't know how to act. I don't know how to be. Right?
Neither do women.
Yeah.
Is complete. And yet, no, the dudes have gotten a horrific rap, just like the women have. So they've been driven into super yang. So they've always got an on button. Back to the Shuar tribe shaman. They don't know how to stop. Because they're out of touch. They don't need women to tell them if they're whole beings in themselves. They'll have their own inner feminine prompt that goes, oh, dude, take a break, chill, go sit under a tree and read a book, or just take your shoes off, whatever. The whole thing is about internalizing, rebalancing inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so precious because, our beautiful young people who are so right on about wanting to move out of the binary lock boxes, but we talked about it, they've over-labeled and recompartmentalized and made themselves even smaller, instead of recognizing our innate fluidity. Yin and yang, positive, negative, positrons, electrons. It's an endless dance and energetic, unified flow. We are, they were gender fluidity. We are fluid already, but we think we've been trained again and programmed through these sexual identifications and boxes, programmed to never recognize our fluidity, to miss the whole, because we've been split, body bad, God good.
Do you think that sometimes, because I'm really hearing you, the fluidity of the I'm going to say the divine energies within us, the yin yang, like we go back and forth. So when I need to really get something done, I can be more yang, and when I really need to just back off and do what Benny and I were doing, which is like right, some yin stuff. So the idea that once again, I'm just going to throw it out there because I don't have my question. These questions are just coming in the moment. When we are told we cannot do that, we're suppressed. We can't do it. It's not okay for us to do that. Do you think that's helping to contribute to this incredible confusion and this like, who am I? So when I can't be yang, then I need to really, label that part, or when I can't be yin, I got to label that part. Does that question make any kind of sense?
I'm actually not sure. Well, men were always men can't cry. That makes
right.
you
Yeah,
cry.
yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So women can't be aggressive. That turns you into a bitch. It's like, so absolutely that labeling, and and nobody wants to be that way, and nobody wants to be this way. I remember the moment that the whole labeling of the yin kind of like revealed itself to me, and I was out walking my dogs in the woods up in the Cascades, and I suddenly realized, basically from one footfall to the next, that all the aspects of the feminine that I was horrified by. I didn't want to be yielding. I didn't want to be vulnerable. I didn't want to be passive. Oh my God, that explosion! Passive? But all my life I'd been trained that was just disgusting. That was just women at their whiny worst on a freaking couch with bonbons, whining about their lives. Those are the pictures that are put into our brains. And I remember literally stopping in the trail and going, wait a minute, passive, receptive, yielding. Oh my God, that's why I meditate every day, is to be able to, oh my God, oh my God, my whole spiritual pursuit is to become more feminine. I never saw it that way.
Yes.
My mind in that moment.
Mm-hmm. You actually answered the question, because the question was like avoiding those labels. Like, if those labels don't pertain to me, if I'm a sensitive male who cries and I don't want to identify with that label, right? And so I think that sort of softening the edges of that, or realizing that we don't need to have such rigid definition of yin yang, male female. I like yin yang because to me it's more fluid.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we don't have all the baggage. We don't have all the mental meaning definitions attached to yin and yang that we do masculine and feminine.
Yeah.
Or heaven forfend male female.
Yeah. And you've already kind of alluded to a little bit, but what is your advice as to the way forward? Like, people listening might be going, wow, I am really caught up in that. I really have this mindset that, like, I'm a woman and I've been acting like a man. How do I find my way back?
Oh God, what a journey. I've been on that trail for 26 years.
Yeah. I'm still on it. I'm honest about that. Sometimes I feel like I've got it, and other times I'm like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. And yeah.
Yeah, more than anything, let's just put it this way. Western society, the whole world, pretty much is in the yang basket.
Yes.
That's where we've been driven to deliberately, because I'm not going to be passive and vulnerable and receptive and reflective. Reflective is also another yin quality. If I'm over here. So I think the trick pretty much for most people, and still after 26 years for me, Loretta, is allowing myself the space to breathe.
Yeah.
Allowing myself to slow down.
Yeah.
Allowing myself, and this is my carte blanche menu formula for starting to come back out of that insanity. Take your shoes off, turn your phone off, leave it in the house, go outside and sit your butt down on the ground under a tree, or find a park bench, get out into nature. Take 10 minutes a day if you can, if that's all you can spare, because that's you consciously in the masculine getting it done. This is my to-do list. I've got to take my shoes off and go sit, okay. And just spend that moment tuning in to life. Because life is both. Life is this fluid dance of yin and yang, positive and negative, positrons and electrons. And so the information, the guidance that we need is there. I would love to be able to say, I've got a bullet point, workshop that I can step you through. I don't. The answer is within you.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is within every single one of us. And it's so time for us to get out of that. Again, the yang looks for external authority. It's a hierarchical structure. The penis is pointed, so we naturally, the yang naturally builds these hierarchical structures and then locks themselves in it and feels lost and despairing and drinks too much and yada, yada.
Yeah.
Oh, take the time to take a breath and know that it's okay. Know that it's actually meant, if this is what it takes, know that taking time out for yourself is mandatory.
I was thinking also what you said earlier, that, it's the brain, we get locked in our left brain, which is really, our society is so left brainy, yang, check. If you can see it, that's good. And if you can't see it, that's cuckoo. And
feel? Oh my
yeah.
God. Women do
Yeah.
that. Whiny women on couches with bonbons do that.
Yeah. But, taking that time out, that time to center, to ground, to meditate, to walk in nature, to connect is what I say to it. A lot of people come to me and they go, Loretta, I come to you because I'm disconnected and you help me connect. And I go, what are we connecting to? We are connecting to the self. We're connecting to the divine or the sacred or the feminine. I sometimes don't really want to put labels on that. But there is within us, as you know, a deep knowing. There's a sense of things. And I do agree with you. The archons, the negative things, quite often grip a hold of our minds and get us thinking. And then there is that battle actually between the thoughts, which I think many people are going, something's wrong here. These thoughts, what I've been told, I don't know. And then inside me, I have this sense or this knowing of something else. And then we go back to, well, you can't do that. You have to do this, right?
Oh God, Loretta, I have been shocked at the programming of 40 years of spiritual programming that taught me to get out of my body.
Oh, wow.
Only now in the last couple of years, now that I've seen through this program, I go, oh my God, the body. It holds the truth. This is my God. This is my compass.
Yeah.
Follow your heart, trust your gut. Who says follow your mind and trust your mind? Nobody says that. We're looking to the heart and the gut and the body for a reason. It's because the body doesn't know how to lie.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And people run from their feelings because that's the body. The body saying, I hurt. This doesn't feel good, right? Like we do have to wade through that into our deeper knowing, but coming in and down, get in.
Yep.
Get in.
I mean, how many people do I know who knew their body told them, do not take the jab? And then their mind convinced them to do otherwise. That's a classic example right there.
Yeah.
And so this getting back into the body, taking time, somatic tracking. This is one of the best tools I know. Take your shoes off. If you can't go outside, take 5 minutes. Sit at your desk, take your shoes off if you can. And if you can't, no big deal. Start at your feet and feel your feet. Sense the energy flow. Is it tickly? Is it hot? Is it whatever? Move up your ankles, up to your thigh. Move up your body and track the feeling of where your body's at. You know, spend some time in your buttocks. It's a very important place connecting you to the chair. Tune in to these portions of the body and then listen to whatever messaging comes up. You know, it's just like, oh God, please take me to the elevator and back. Let me walk around. Let's walk down the hallway up and down a couple of times. Your body's going to tell you, don't listen to that dude in the next cubicle who's telling you blah blah. Yeah, the cues are all there. Once we open that gate, that sensory gate, and let the information in, because we're moving into our antenna. Here, this is a grounding rod. This whole body of ours is not just the brain that's an antenna and a receiver and a transmitter. The whole body is. So moving into more comfort in the body is such an important thing. Whatever, be gentle with yourself. Get a massage. Go float in a pool. It's summertime. Yeah. Whatever you can do to get back into a sensual, sensory-oriented, space, and enjoy that, and watch whatever comes up. Oh, I can't do that. Is there guilt? Yet the idea of taking a bubble bath, all right, for your dudes, take that bubble bath. I mean, is there like discuss what's coming? What is the body? What messages is the body responding with? It's all in there.
Yeah. I was thinking years and years ago, I went through an auditory stimulation program, the Tomatis method, for those people that are aware. And what it does is it measures hearing. Uh-huh. And if you've ever taken a regular hearing test, you hear the weird sounds and whatever. But it does two things. It does air conduction and it does bone conduction. And the bone conduction hearing test tells us that the entire body hears, it listens. And this is the same thing you're saying, because we're talking about frequencies, and to me, frequencies or tonalities, like put it in any word you want, but it's that somatic thing. The body actually responds to it and the bones respond to it. And the knowledge is in the bones. So it's another way of saying what you're saying, and I'm just pulling it all together because I think this is really an important message. Get back in the body. How do you have any advice for people listening that might be raising children? And, like how can you raise a healthy view of gender and sexuality and children in our kind of rigid, in our society that's either rigid or if I could say too fluid? And
I just ran across I hate to horrify listeners even more, and I was
okay.
Is that AI companionship is now becoming the rage. Elon Musk just came out with Annie, whatever, this anime chick in fishnet. Oh my God. Anyway, so something like 65% of 18 to 24-year-olds are now hooked into AI companions. Wow. 65%, 70% of youth already have used it at one point in time and are moving into AI companionship, which is taking us into AI sex bot place. So it's all mental masturbation. It's all mental stuff up here. So back to that young masculine compartmentalization place. That's where everybody's being driven, and our young people are being driven. I hate to say it. I don't know any other answer but to force them to unhook.
Yes. Thank you.
If they want to get that car when they're 16, they
Yeah.
have to take a 2-hour break, an hour break every day with no.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt just because we're nearing the end of the show. I want to put a cautionary tone out to people on the back end of that AI thing, because I've got adults coming to me who are using AI as their companions and even asking spiritual questions and telling me their guides are talking to them. I'm going to put a big red flag out there. And that might be our next conversation. But anyway, we're down at the end. Cate, where can people find you, your book, very quickly, 15 to 20 seconds? And
CateMontana.com. That's Cate with a C. And I love my Substack. I write every week about various topics. So it's cmontana.substack.com.
Fantastic. So Cate Montana, you are a rock star, darling. You're a goddess of the goddesses, gender, patriarchy, and sexual mind control, breaking free. And thank you from the bottom of my heart to your beautiful heart. Aloha. And thank you for being on the show today.
Aloha.
Everybody have a great week. Get outside, unhook, go camping, lay on the ground. Betty Mathers knows all about it. Betty Mathers, you're the best. Mwah. Thank you.
All clear. Love it.